People need an income that's guaranteed to them.
If you lose money to taxes, you're never getting that money back.
You need to get serious about adding some lower risk.
Greed. I don't like greed.
The thing to be afraid of, honestly, is the thing that we're not thinking of, the black swan event.
There's a tsunami coming. Bye.
Welcome to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers.
Just coffee talk.
There's a lot of noise, a lot of chatter. Who do you listen to? Who do you not listen to? You have to stay focused.
A fun and informative look at the issues of wealth, retirement, and protecting your life savings.
These advisors out there that were trained to sell, and have all these fees, they don't want to talk about this product, so they make less money.
And now, Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers.
Hello again, and welcome to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. My name is Randy Cook. Each week we sit down here and talk about some of those headlines that are out there in the financial news that you may have seen. You see the green arrows, the red arrows, and all these predictions of where the market's going to go, and we have a new president and all these effects that might have on our economy. Well, we'll talk through some of that today, but what we're really going to talk about is how all of this affects you and your retirement. And the person who helps us with that, of course, is Charisse Rivers. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. It's been a busy start to our year. I'm flu-free now, cold-free. I had flus and colds, and so go away. And I'm staying pretty strong to my New Year's resolutions, and so are my kiddos, by the way.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you, my house is ran like Drill Sergeant Dave is living in there. At the end of each year, the kids and I, we do New Year's resolutions. And one of mine was take the habits that we started and really make sure we are continuing those habits, because we fall off these habits. And one of the habits was making sure the kids are up at 6:30 and they're out in the kitchen by 7, and then we have breakfast at 7:15, and then we're out the door by 7:35. And all week this week we did that. I'm not going to tell you, it made my week amazing because I didn't have to yell at anybody getting out the house. And I'm like, this is magic.
Do you have a whistle or something?
No, but that would be hilarious. And my kids would be so mad at me. I'm like, when I have to blow the whistle, I'm totally doing it. So anyways, consistency is great. And I know we're talking about retirement planning and people who are getting ready to, or people in retirement planning, but new habits are healthy, and dialing into that structure and being consistent makes for a healthy, happy, and wealthy lifestyle, right?
All right. Well, most of the New Year's resolutions are busted by now, but I've made a very, very, very small resolution. Okay. So my routine in the morning is to stop at Quick Trip and get a Diet Coke, a taquito, and a donut. Not very healthy.
You are kidding me. What's a taquito?
A taquito it's just cheese and steak wrapped in some kind of fried thing.
Sure.
It's excellent. It's fantastic.
Roller
food, baby. Don't discount roller food. Okay.
Good gracious.
But I'm swearing off the donut. Okay. No, I'm not doing the donut. I like the old-fashioned ones with the frosting on top. Or oh gosh, they're so good. Anyway, so I'm swearing off the donuts, and so far so good. I've made it through January.
Until you see the hot sign at Krispy Kreme, and you're screwed. Excuse my language.
It's so true. It's so true.
All right.
So here's another this time of year thing that we got to talk about, and that's gift cards. I've got 3 in my pocket right now, burning a hole in my pocket, but I still haven't spent them. And I found a story about gift cards. It is estimated there are $23 billion worth of unused gift cards floating around out there.
Wow.
A number of them are in Charisse's junk drawer.
You know me.
$1 billion alone in Starbucks cards that haven't been used yet. And so when you have that money in your pocket like that and you're not using it, it's just, as we like to call here on the show, dead money. It's not working for you. So
it's not working for you.
Well, first of all, fess up here. How many gift cards do you have?
Oh, I'm embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. I get gift cards all the time. People just throw them at me for gifts, and then I just put them in the drawer.
Yeah.
And then I intend to use them, but then when I'm out to use them, I don't have them. It's a very bad habit of mine. So they do stack up, I'll be honest with you. But then I'll use them eventually, but there is plenty in there. It's kind of embarrassing.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about what we find in 401ks, we find in portfolios. You do your portfolio analysis, your x-ray, and there's people that have money and it's just not working. It's not gaining anything. It's just sitting there, or it's pulling back your gains because it's losing money.
Dead money, is that what we're talking about?
Dead money. What do you find? Where is the dead money that people usually come in with?
I just had a young chap come in at the age of 69. And one of the dead money locations was a stable value fund.
Okay.
$1.5 million in a stable value fund. And I was, oh my gosh, if he just knew what we were making in our stable value fund, which is over double.
Wow.
And on top of that, some of our other fixed guaranteed rates are even higher than that. And, it was my first appointment, so I didn't want to say anything like that. It's like, oh, that's great. So you're super conservative. So if you lost 10%, you would have heart failure. He went basically.
Okay.
And so, but he's losing to inflation, right? So stable value funds they're stable, but there's no value. So I call that dead money. Savings accounts are making you 0.5%. Too much money in checking. I had somebody come in and they had $400,000 in a savings account for no reason or anything. And I call that dead money. It's not keeping up with inflation. When there are so many alternatives out there, there's so many other investments out there that you don't have to take a loss and you can make more than that. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to worry about advisor fees. So we do offer those here. So dead money is very crippling. Basically, if you want to leave money to your heirs, or you want to leave money to those grandchildren that you love more than your children, a 2.5 to 3% rate it's not good enough, period. Right. Because you're going to live off it. And most people, it's IRA money, so they're going to have to take an RMD and pay the taxes on it. So it slowly goes down, down, down. So dead money. Oh, and some of these bonds out there right now, like the aggregate bond. Yeah, aggregate bond, I don't know, it pays somewhere maybe 4%, but it's sideways for the year. So it's just it's just taking away from the 4% that you earned if it's not going up, and it's just been very rocky. So certain bonds are just not working. And the one thing that gets me the most, Randy, is things that are feed to death.
Okay.
So we were talking earlier about somebody you went in to go see because you were just checking things out, which I appreciate. Well, tell the story.
I go out and do a little research here and there. So I had somebody, a financial advisor, look at my holdings. I don't really think I have a portfolio, but I've saved money in a 401k, and I have money in a savings account, and we have money in a Roth, and we have, the standard stuff. Yeah. And so she looked at me and she looked at my stuff and she goes, I've got something I think you're really going to like. And I said, what's that? She goes, a variable annuity.
And we're against them here.
Exactly. And
more or less.
I got 12 years with Charisse, and I know that ain't good. And so she explains all this stuff, and I just looked at her and I go, what are the fees? And she went 1 page, 2 page, 3 page, 4 page. Oh, here it is, 4%.
Okay, yeah, that's normal. It's typical. And that is an absolute ripoff. This is that story where the advisor wins, where the white ivory towers are taking your money, because even Randy, if it made 6, but the fee is 4, and I know people are like, what? 4? Is that even legal? It is so incredibly legal in variable annuities. So there's certain annuities we like, certain we don't. But I call variable annuities dead money annuities when you have that kind of fee, because then those variable annuities, they're not guaranteed. They can lose when the stock market goes down. So now you have a 4% fee, Randy.
Which continues no matter what.
No matter what. It's there forever. And then the market goes down 20 or 30%. Boy. And now every year to get back to even, it takes 5 years, but it's going to take you longer because you got a 4% fee that you get to hit up against as a ceiling every year. And this is why I'm not a fan of them. But what was the other thing she said? There was a 5% guarantee?
Oh, yeah. So then she wanted to show me an annuity that had a rider on it that had a 5% guarantee. So annuities, we've talked about this. One of the nice things is if the market goes down below 0, you just get 0. You just even it out. That's it. You don't lose, right?
No. On a variable annuity, you do lose.
But on a variable annuity, you do. So, but the other annuity she was showing me had a 5% fee with a 5% guarantee. And I did all the math on it, and I thought, I'm kind of breaking breaking even. I'm paying myself
After 20 years.
Exactly. So I didn't.
And there's nothing left for a legacy, right?
Right.
When you saw that, yeah. So I'm glad you did that, because how many of yous have done that before, where it's like, oh, a 5% guarantee. And Randy, you're lucky. Like, advisors don't typically tell you what the real fees are, but I think she did because you were asking all these
Because I
questions and
asked,
you knew
yes.
What's a mortality and expense fee? Where's the admin fee? What's the income rider fee? What's this fee? And that's
I'm going to be
probably
a terrible client.
Yeah.
Because I know Charisse.
Yeah. So to circle back, Randy, it's just not the stable value funds. It's just not some of the bonds out there that are doing, those longer term bonds that aren't doing so good. The shorter term bonds are actually doing better. But it's also other investment fees out there, like variable annuities. You can average, I see when you come in, we do an annuity stress test. We see on average people averaging about 1.5, maybe 2% over the last 10 years in them, which is ridiculous because of those fees. And then we point out the fees, and it's just so humbling to people because they're like, oh, I thought it wasn't like the next thing to slice bread, and it's not as good as I thought it was, because they have this funny money value and their account value. Say you put $100,000 in, maybe it's only at 150 15 years later, but the funny money value, it's a fake value, maybe it's at 300,000. And so that funny money, you can never cash it out. You can never pass it on as a legacy. You're just allowed to take 4% from it to live on. And then that's if you live long enough, right? Mm-hmm. And so just know that there's a lot of smoke and mirrors out there. There's a lot of noise. There's a ton of confusion. And it's taken me nearly 20 years to really sort through it all. And what we do is we sit with people between the ages of 55 and 78 every day, helping them with these retirement solutions and income planning and tax planning. And it starts with that written plan. So I definitely advise dead money. If you got it sitting around, there are sparkly objects out there that are really working right now. We're so excited about them. I feel like a hero every time a client comes in and he's like, wow, I can't believe we just made that. I can't believe we just did that. Mm-hmm. I'm like, me too.
Well, we would love to do a portfolio x-ray for you. And one of the things that comes out of that is the performance of what you are holding. You have your money someplace, and it's in some kind of a fund. It's in an ETF. It's in a mutual fund. It's in a bond. It's someplace. What is that doing? And is there things within your portfolio that are holding you back, which we refer to as dead money? Let's identify it, and let's get rid of it, and let's get you in something that will get you some growth, some income, and certainly some protection. Here's our number, and here's our website, and give Charisse a call, get a date on a calendar, and let's talk through it. 833-368-3680, 833-368-3680, or a real easy way to do this is go to our website, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. There is a button there that says complimentary retirement consultation. And when you click on that, you can schedule it right there. It is that time of year where we start getting all of our documents. You get your W-2s, you get your 1099s, you get all your tax software, and you're starting to think about taxes. Well, this is one thing we want to make sure that you know, that you may have all of your investments all in order and feel good about Social Security and everything. You may have another advisor. That's fine. We encourage that. But are they giving you tax advice? Because this is a place that can really pull back your retirement money. We'll talk about it coming up next on Retirement Coffee Talk. Welcome back to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, find us, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. When you go to our website, you could hit that media tab there. And if you listen to the show occasionally, you want to hear a little bit more, and you're not available at the time that we're on the radio, well, we have a podcast, and you can find it on iTunes, you can find it on Spotify, and you can also find it on our website again, zinniawealth.com, and catch up on all the topics that Charisse and I talk about. All right, so there's a lot of people that they don't have a problem with income. They don't have a problem with health. They don't have a problem with savings. But as we always say, everybody's got a tax problem. So, Sharice.
Yeah, and you have a partner.
Yes, you do. In your retirement.
Yes, you do. It's
Uncle Sam. Yes.
I said that to somebody the other day. I did a workshop, and the guy went, "What do you mean I got a partner on my 401k?" I was like, yeah, 30, 40% of it's going to go to your partner. And they're like, who's my partner? I'm like, Uncle Sam. And they went, oh, okay. It was funny. It took them a minute.
It is funny how people might, kind of walk through your door and feel that they're ready for retirement. And you say, well, what have you done? I've paid off all my bills, paid off my house, paid off my credit cards, paid off my cars. I am set for retirement. And then you can look at them and say, do you have a 401k? Yeah. Well, you didn't pay off all your bills because that's another one that you've got to pay in retirement. It is a huge bill, isn't it?
The tax bill. It's a hellacious tax bill. I am tickled pink because we are big into creating software and kind of rejiggering old school software to make it really fun and easy to use with our clients. And we started doing that years ago with our written plans and our income plans, and people just sit back in their chairs and they rock and they put their hands behind their head. They're like, now that's a plan. I've never seen something like that. And they're so excited about that. And then we brought on the tax planning software. And I'm going to tell you, that is the cat's meow. I always thought my income and written plan software was the cat's meow, but our tax planning software, it'll take your breath away very quickly. And I say that because I mean it. And I'll give you an example. I had a 70-year-old come into my office in the Villages this week, and his mom's still alive. She's 93, so he has clearly longevity, right? Mm-hmm. He had about $1.5 million in a stable value fund. Mm-hmm. Another person, that's like the second one that I've seen over the last couple of weeks. And this $1.5 million was making about 2.3% in the stable value fund. And he came in for a second appointment. And he said, Sharice, she's like, I'm so happy with my stable value fund. I don't want to waste your time, but I do want to see this tax plan. So I just fast forwarded, skipped the income plan, skipped everything. I'm like, well, then let's hit that hot spot for you. And we dialed into his tax plan. He gave us his tax return. We uploaded it to one of our software systems, and then we created another version into another system. When he came in, I showed him, we keep it very simple. In red, if you do nothing, and as you're filing single, you're paying more in taxes because you're filing singly than when you're married jointly, you pay a little less in taxes. So he's already in a heavier tax bracket. And I said, if you do nothing, you take your RMDs and then you pass the remaining at age 90, 93 to your beneficiaries, this is how much you're going to pay in taxes. That's in red. And then we show them on the other side, they're side by side, in green. If you roll over for the next 10 years, so he's 70. So remember, at 73, he is forced to pull money out of these IRAs. That's over 50 grand. He has to pull out and pay taxes. And I showed him, if we roll over $50,000 a year for the next 10 years, that means the next 3 years, you don't take an RMD, but you'll do the rollover. And then when you turn 73, you're going to continue to roll this $50,000 over until you're 80, and you got to take an RMD. When we looked at it, there was a $50,000 difference more by doing the rollover. And let me explain what I mean by that. He would have paid, and his heirs, they're inheriting his money, would have paid somewhere very close to $850,000 in taxes.
All right, stop there for just a second, because I think this is significant what you're saying. It's not just what you pay, because that's your money. It's what your children are also going to pay, and that has to be added in as your total tax bill, doesn't it?
It does. So we want, because if you're going to roll an IRA to a Roth, and you don't even need the money to live on, it's really about who's inheriting your money. Because right now, if you have an IRA or 401k and you pass away, your family members who inherit your money, they have to cash it out over 10 years.
Right.
Which is a stinker, because that used to never be the plan until a couple of years ago. So now that they have to do that, there is a rush across the country for people to roll IRAs over to a Roth while taxes are down. And so if he did nothing, he and his beneficiaries would pay close to $850,000 in taxes. But if he does convert, the taxes between him and his beneficiaries were closer to $400,000. On top of that, it nearly doubled the estate to the beneficiaries, so that it was a win-win. And we see that a lot. It doesn't always double, but we get some big numbers when we're just rolling 50 to 100 grand a year if we do it for 10 or so years. But to be able to see this, your CPAs, you do not have CPAs in this entire country that will show you this. They do your bookkeeping. They're going to tell you how much taxes you got to pay. They're even going to tell you, hey, if you roll $25,000, this is how much you pay. They do not show you this part. They're going to send you to an advisor. Or they're so dumbfounded, they're going to tell you not to roll an IRA over to Roth because they don't even understand it. And that's the part that I get upset about. I'm like, that is ridiculous. So this person said, I've worked with a couple of advisors, Sharice, and they never could show me something like this. They did some stuff on paper and it never made sense to me. I've talked to my CPAs. They couldn't show me anything like that. I am telling you, we're very specialized here. We do holistic planning. So we're going to help you with your income plan, your investments. We'll put you in the Amazon and a Tesla just like anybody else will, and the bonds and immunity bonds and whatever you want. But we're going to build a plan together that makes sense for you. And we're going to build a tax plan together that makes sense for you and your spouse. And if you pass away, for you and then to your beneficiary. So it doesn't stop there. We do real retirement planning here. And I'm so excited to continue to give this stuff away to people for free.
Well, we would love to have that opportunity to talk to you about it. And at this time of year, when you're thinking about financial things, why not give Sharice a call and sit down and have her run that tax software for you and find out how you can put more money in your pocket and not Uncle Sam's. I mean, it's literally like we're funding our retirement and we're funding Uncle Sam's retirement at the same time. He's the one sitting on the beach with the drink and the little umbrella. We want you to be the person with your toes in the sand, okay? Give us a call. Let's do it. Get a date on the calendar, 833-368-3680. Again, 833-368-3680, or our website, zinniawealth.com. Click on the button that says Complimentary Retirement Consultation. Sharice, just kind of rounding out this segment here, there's a lot of people over the last couple of years that have taken advantage of high interest rates. And I got a story in front of me here that says Americans have pumped $7 trillion into money market accounts, CDs, things like that. Well, now rates are starting to come down, and some of these things are coming due, and people are saying, where should I put my money now? Should I go with the interest rate that's there and renew, or should I deploy my money elsewhere? The article says a lot of people who are in their 60s, they worry that they'll put it right back in the market and right back at risk. What would you say to a person who comes through the door with that?
Yeah, so if you have your money in a CD, I already know you're probably naturally a conservative person. So you don't want to go put it back in the market, even though you're just trying to chase the tail of the rocket ship because everybody else is saying, the market's going up. I made 20%, I made 25%. And now you have FOMO. You're feeling like you're going to miss out. And then you're going to change your total investment strategy because you want to make 20. You don't want to make 4 or 3 because that's what CDs are doing. So I would not recommend putting CD money into the stock market. What I would do, I would get away from CDs. And if you like 1-year CDs, I would use the 1-year alternative. So we have those here, and some of them are guaranteed, and some of them allow you to make money when the market goes up. And then if market goes down, you can make money when the market goes down. So we are converting a lot of our clients' CDs now to something like the 1-year notes that we're using. Our clients are really liking the ones like, well, if the market does go down 10% in 12 months, I can make 7 or 8%. It's like, yep. And they said, well, let's go there because I'm not feeling too great about the market. And some people are really excited about the market. So if the market does go up, you also make money. So it's a way to make money when the market goes up and down, either way. And so I think we'll do a lot better on those, in my opinion, than the CD rates. So we are transitioning. Once again, we're always making changes. We're looking forward. What's the next best thing? For the longest time, we had CDs for a couple of years. They were just breaking the bank and we loved it. But now we're moving over to the notes. And most people in North and Central Florida do not offer these notes that we offer.
Well, one of the interesting things that I've found when people find I do the show with Sharice and they look at me and that's their first question, where should I put my money? I said, well, don't talk to me, talk to Sharice. And so that's a common thing is people want to know, I've got money, where do I put my money? And see, if you're in that boat right now and you see, maybe I should be doing Made in America and not international with the new president. Maybe I should be moving more toward military, or maybe I should be moving more toward this or that. Those are the conversations that happen when we sit down and do that portfolio x-ray.
Or Bitcoin.
Yeah, there's another one.
We have great Bitcoin portfolios, but I do not recommend most of the retirees to go into them. But with Trump in office, it could take off. But then it needs to be money that you're not worried about or that you need to touch for 10 years. Because as fast as it goes up, it can go down pretty fast too. So you got to be careful there.
It really has. That's. I think I talked to somebody that said 50% of the time Bitcoin is down. Well, that means 50% it's up, but what does that mean for your retirement? retirement. So let's talk through it. We do a portfolio x-ray. We'll do it for you at no charge. Give us a call. Give us a look at our website, 833-368-3680, or ZinniaWealth.com, ZINNIA Wealth.com. There's a button there that says complimentary retirement consultation. Click on that and you'll be on your way. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, all these stories about people who've saved millions of dollars for retirement. I've got a number for you. How many people have actually saved $1 million in their retirement account? It's shockingly low, and we'll tell you what that is coming up. And I have a challenge for Charisse. I'm going to give her a story, and if she doesn't say, this guy is crazy, I'll be shocked. That's coming up next on Retirement Coffee Talk. Welcome back to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, ZinniaWealth.com, ZINNIA Wealth.com. And remember our podcast. We have that out there on Spotify and iTunes and on our website, too. Just hit the media tab there. You can hear a lot of the interviews that Charisse has done and certainly past shows. All that at ZinniaWealth.com. Well, you hear these big numbers of what people have saved and what we need for retirement. We always bust those stories because $1.8 million, really? Do we really need that much to retire? Well, feel better about yourself, folks. According to the Employee Benefit Research Institute, only 3% of retirees have saved over $1 million.
There's a lot of retirees then.
There are. And that means that there's a lot of people that are enjoying and having a successful retirement on less than $1 million. So,
or maybe it was 999 and they didn't put that into the equation.
I don't
How many
know.
of those people really had 950 and they just wouldn't bop them up? Okay.
I don't know.
All kidding aside.
I don't
Go
know.
ahead, Randy.
But in any event, this is what I want to get to is this. Those stories about you need 1.4, 1.5, you need 1.8, 2 million, and, you know, Susie Orman and all that stuff. Pay no attention to that stuff. I think they're damaging stories. So let's talk about people who walk through your door and they may have a number in mind. Charisse, I don't think I can retire until I have this. What happens when you do the portfolio x-ray?
It's amazing. I love my job so much. And our advisors love working here because we make life easy for them and for people who are coming in the front door. And people get to sit back and just be at ease in our office because we're just educating for their first couple appointments and showing them these awesome ways to retire earlier than planned. And I'll tell you about somebody who came in, I don't know, it was before the holidays, and it was a couple, and Mr. really needed to retire. His health was not as good. Okay. Mrs. was younger, and she's like, no, I love working. I'm going to keep working. And I get that. And they didn't think he could retire because he made more money, but they actually saved well. So when they came in on their second appointment, we did this income plan. We built it out, and he wasn't planning on retiring for 5 years. So he was not going to retire for 5 years, and she's going to retire in 8 or 9, she says. Okay. And when he came in for a second, he was more wore out than ever. He's like, oh God, I hope you have good news for me. And so when we built it out, he could retire that day he walked in our double doors, that day, and never worry about running out of money. Mrs. actually could have retired with him. And she went, oh, but I can't. She's like, but maybe I will, but I can't. I would never do that. I love what I do. And so she's like, maybe I won't do 8 years. I'll do 4 years.
There you go.
And he walked out. He's like, I've been listening to your show for years, Charisse, and you've said these stories about other people. He's like, it is real. This is a real thing you're doing here. He's like, wow. And he sent a couple other people since then, which was always an amazing honor when people send referrals. He's got a hard job, right? He's not a singer. He's not a football coach where he's going to do all the side gigs and mentor and blah, blah, blah. He's a hard worker, just in Ocala that is tired of working and his body hurts, right? Let's talk about some of those Duke Electric guys, you know, let's talk about them. They work their butts off. They work for us while we're sleeping at night. And a lot of them deserve to retire and retire early. And so we basically showed him how to do it. And he is retired right now, by the way.
Good.
So very exciting. It makes us feel great that we can do that sooner and assure them that if you do this, this, and this, and then we put this tax plan together and then we get this estate plan and wills and trusts all buttoned up, and this is your long-term care bucket, and this is your spending bucket. So now you can spend, and they didn't think they can spend that much in retirement. I showed them how you could spend like $30,000 more a year, at least for the next 15 years. They went, what? This is for real what we're doing here, you all. We are saving retirement and helping the retirement dream continue. And I get fired up when I get to sit with clients and people say, Sharice, you still sit with clients and new people? I do. I won't be able to do it for much longer, but I have a well-trained staff here, and they continue to do the same thing that I'm doing here. And I'll just be the voice of reasoning and the voice of radio and TV, obviously. But I will say that we paint a nice picture here. We don't fluff anything. We do everything very pessimistic. And then I can show you what if it was more optimistic, to see if you can retire in a more of a pessimistic outlook in an economy. So there's a lot of value there. And remember, we don't charge you for these plans. We do hope you come on board and do business with us. We don't win every deal, right? But I will say 8 out of 10 of them we do.
Well, we would love to have the opportunity. And if this is one of the things that's concerning you and saying, they say I need $1.5 million to retire, I'm not there. We have $850,000 and got a couple of years left, or just hang on and keep pounding away at work. Well, what if you came in the door and the math worked out, or the math worked that you would work 6 more months or 1 more year instead of 5 or 7 or 8? Give us a call and let's have that appointment. 833-368-3680, 833-368-3680, or our website, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com, and click on that button that says Complimentary Retirement Consultation. All right, I'm really going to test Sharice here now, see if she can keep her cool during this one. You've probably heard stocks for growth, bonds for protection. Forget all that. You've probably heard pull back your market risk in retirement. Forget all that. There is a professor at Emory University in Atlanta that says this: you should be in 100% equities, 100% in the stock market in your working years and in your retirement years. Here's his reasoning. If you get a higher rate of return, you can save less and accumulate more. With more savings, you can avoid running out of money. And we should use international stocks more than bonds. Okay, Sharice, what do you think of this guy?
He sounds like he is the father to Dave Ramsey that says this irrelevant, like dumb, like no, and no. Like, okay, so you knew I'd get a rise there.
I knew you would.
Okay, so the listeners are way smarter than that. And I wouldn't doubt if that university fired him after he made that statement. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen, honestly. Because think about it. Let's think about it. Everybody just take a breath and pause, because some of you are like, yeah, that guy's right. And some people are like, oh no, Sharice is right on the money here. So let's go in between. When you are working, you can do that. You have so much time on your watch and clock that you can make up those differences, right? So you're in this accumulation phase and your money's growing and growing and growing and you're not touching it. And then you walk out the double doors to your employer, you collect your last paycheck. You might only be collecting Social Security and you don't get a pension. So now you got to take your 401k and now you're your own pension manager and you got to figure out how to make sure not to run out of money. Good luck to that. And then somebody says, keep all your money in the equities. And then the stock market crashes like it did in 2007 and 8, and your $1 million lost 50%, because that's what happened in all these equities. And now it's $500,000, right? Follow me. But you need $40,000 a year to cover your budget out of that $500,000. You are the person that will run out of money. This is why the number one fear of retirement is running out of money. And what is Warren Buffett's number one rule? Don't lose your money. And number 2 rule is follow rule number 1. So this guy is not following the right gurus, because this is wrong. This is bad information. And no wonder why, Randy, so many people are confused. Yeah. And they hear all these noises. They hear the fear mongers. You hear Dave Ramsey. But, you know, what you got to do is you got to take all this noise, put it in a box and bring it into me. And I will talk you off the ledge and I will give you reason. And then I'll put it in a plan based on your needs and goals. And then we'll work from there. So it's a lot of noise and it's confusing. It is alphabet soup, Randy.
Yeah. And it's just nutty because you'll hear, I mean, just the messages that we've talked about in this show, how much you need to retire, $1 million, $1.5, $1.8, $2 million. That's confusing. You should go all in on the market because you want to have more money because you don't want to run out of money. But what if the market goes down? The market doesn't always go up.
Listen, there's FOMO out there, fear of missing out.
Yeah.
I have that myself with certain things. And don't chase the tail of a rocket ship because eventually you will get burned. And that's the stock market. I know it's going up. I love the stock market. We got plenty of money in the stock market. But whatever you need to live on the next 5 to 7 years, please hear me. If this is the one thing you hear over the next hour, whatever you need for income over the next 5 to 7 years, do not have in the stock market. And then if you want to chase the tail of the rocket ship and you'll just get burned whenever you get burned, then you put the rest of the money in there if you wanted to. So that's a hard, fast rule in my office. And so not all your money is supposed to be making 7 to 10%. Some of your money can be making 4 to 6. We call that your safe money strategies. And the rest can be high flyers. Like, for example, I had a client who's come in year over year for their reviews. One account did 39%, another account did 25%, another conservative account did 12%, another one did 8%. That is a nice average return. They counted that 39%. We do not plan on living on that over the next 10 years. So it can have the rock and roll. The account that did 8%, we need that to be our safe money, right? Yeah. We need income off of that and in the interim. So again, let me make sure I'm compliant here. I'm not telling you you're going to walk in here and have a same portfolio like this family, but I'm just telling you that you can have some things that are making 2, some things that are making 4, some things that are making 8, some things that are making 40. But the ones that's making 40 means you can also lose your shorts and lose 50%. But you want to be balanced and you want a good balanced allocation and you want more than 1 or 2 allocations. You don't want just equities and bonds. You don't want just the 60-40. You better today, in today's age and today's time, have more than just a 60-40 portfolio and be seeking out those really incredible alternatives like the notes and the index strategies out there. There's so many things. Don't keep your head in the sand. Come in, see us, bring that box of stress, bring that box of documents, and we'll unpack it and kind of show you how it works.
Well, you've said many times that when you walk through the door, we're going to sit down and make sure that there is enough money, enough guaranteed money for the power bill and the cable bill and the gas bill and the food bill and the travel bill and the fun bill and all of that. And then if you want to take some more risk in the market on the money that you don't have to have for your necessities, that's exactly what you need.
And one last thing, Randy, you have won the race. If you are 65, for example, and you retired, and let's say you do have $1 million, you have won the race. You should not be seeking the same returns that you were when you were growing your money and putting and contributing to it than when you're now in decumulation phase, because now decumulation phase, you're retired, you're living on your money. It's a total different investment strategy. It's a bunch of investment strategies all sprinkled together. You can still have some of those things that you had before, but not in all your dollars. And as a retirement planner, we are sincere about being balance. And you won the race. Don't mess it up. Don't make that million go to 500. Don't make that million go to 2 million in the next 2 years either, because guess what? That means you can lose probably another million the year after. So that's just too much risk.
Gotcha.
Now, one last thing. If you have a pension, you have a Social Security, because I've had somebody come in here that had about almost $5 million. It's like, Sharice, I get $60,000 from my pension and we get about $40,000 from Social Security. If one of us pass, we only lose a little bit of Social Security, which was $20,000. We aren't even spending this money anyways. So if we lose 50%, we don't care. We don't have beneficiaries. All this is going to a charity. Okay. I can reason with that and say, then you're probably gonna have a different plan as long as your risk tolerance is as risky as you think. So again, we can go either way. We also have the ultra conservative clients that says, Sharice, I don't want to lose a dime. I want to make 7% and I don't want to pay fees. So we have a plan for you too.
Well, there's a huge difference between putting money in and pulling money out to live. And that's what happens in retirement. It needs a new kind of strategy. And that doesn't necessarily mean being at 100% risk in the market like maybe you have been for the last 40 years. Give us a call and let's talk about what is comfortable for you. How much do you want in that up and down stock market? Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just a little. Maybe you feel good about 10 or 25%, whatever it is. Let's find that happy place for you and build a plan around that. 833-368-3680. 833-368-3680 or our website, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. Click on that gold box that says complimentary retirement consultation. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're getting out of football season now, just a few more games left before the Super Bowl. And at the beginning of the year, you hear these guys say, our goal is to win the division, win the conference, and win the Super Bowl. That's a big goal, right? And then if it doesn't happen, then the next year you kind of say, okay, what went wrong? And we didn't live up to our goals. I've got an article here says, if you want to try to do that financially, forget it. Don't do that. We'll talk about goals in financial planning coming up next on Retirement Coffee Talk. Welcome back to Retirement Coffee Talk with Sharice Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, zinniawealth.com. Also, if you're listening to the show, got to get out of the car, that's okay. We understand. All you have to do is go to our website or go to Spotify, go to YouTube, go all over the place on social media. You're going to find Retirement Coffee Talk, and you can listen to shows, segments of shows. There's lots there for you to get into as you start getting on your retirement journey. Again, zinniawealth.com or Retirement Coffee Talk. All right, so there's an opinion piece in Market Watch, and it says you should not compare your investments to the S&P 500. Like this past year, I think we had 23% growth. Forget about that. Don't look at that. It says in retirement, you're probably withdrawing funds, and that can make it look like you're underperforming. So you might be doing just fine. So forget about a benchmark. Don't have a measuring stick for your investments. Sharice, something smells fishy here. I don't.
That means, you know what that means?
What does that mean?
That means they're just robbing you of your money. There's some sort of smoke and mirror. They probably sound good, look good, smell good, but are they good? And probably the answer is no. That's why they're telling you not to have a measuring stick. Listen, how in the world do you know if you should keep your financial advisor if you don't have a ruler, right?
Yeah.
And a measuring stick to see how well they're doing. That is a big deal. So let's say you're going on your own and you buy a bunch of large cap funds that are in the S&P 500.
Okay.
And you think you're so good that you decided not to buy the S&P 500 index. You decided just to buy all the stocks that are in it or some of them.
Okay.
At the end of the year, December 31st, see how well the S&P 500 did, and then see how well you did. And if the S&P 500 did 25%, and you only did 15, you failed to beat the benchmark. Now, that's if you're going alone. Now, let's talk about your amazing advisor you're married to. Okay, no, I don't want to be rude here. Now, you've got to have a benchmark for your clients, and trust me, my clients come in all the time. Let me see this benchmark. We give them the benchmark. We'll show you our benchmarks.
Well,
and our goal, Randy, is to beat the benchmark and do it with less risk. And we're really great at it. We are not just matching and going side by side with the benchmark. We are above the benchmark. Go ahead. You were about to say something.
Well, when you have a meeting with a client, you year after year, maybe twice a year, 3 times a year, 4 times a year, whatever you meet, the question I've got to believe is they look you in the eye and say, how are we doing? Well, if you don't have a benchmark, how do you know how you're doing?
So true.
Come on.
There's so much trust, and I love it, and it's appreciated. But if that advisor on your anniversary doesn't show you the benchmark, they got something to hide.
Yeah.
Period.
They don't want to be called to accountability. That's
Right.
what it is.
And here's the other thing. Let's be real, Randy. Maybe they made you 10%. And you're just enjoying retirement and you're happy with that. But your neighbor Bubba made 20 and your other neighbor made 18 and you're okay with it and you keep your head in the sand and you're just not worried about it. As long as you got your 10, you're good. Then that's a different story, right? But if there was somebody out there that could beat the benchmark and do a little bit better for maybe even a lower fee and do tax planning and Medicare planning, Social Security planning, it probably makes a little bit more sense. So, there's different ways to invest, right? And the biggest thing for me, Randy, is when you look at your returns, you've got your advisor has got to have a software for you to see, okay, what is my return after the withdrawals from pulling money out? That's important. So we have a great software that shows our clients that, okay, after you take your withdrawals, here's your returns. Also, I want to talk about fees now, because you also, if you made 10%, what was your fee? Was it 1, 2, or 3%? Because that is important. If you have $1 million, Randy, and you can save 0.5% by just changing up your asset allocation, changing up your assets, but still making the same amount of money. But if you can save 0.5% on $1 million portfolio throughout retirement, you're going to save a boatload of money. And when I mean boatload, you're not going to get rich off of it, but maybe it's 300 grand in fees that you keep in your pocket by just lowering it.
Wow.
Maybe 0.5%. And when you come in, we do your portfolio x-ray, we're going to look at that. We're going to say, hey, if you move this fund from here to here. So for example, if you have an American fund, it's a large cap S&P fund, and you move that to the iShares exchange traded fund, S&P 500 fund, we're going to save you 0.75%, almost 1% by making that move. So things in your portfolio, we're going to say, you keep these. These are great. They're making money and their fees are down, but these are just outrageously too high. And here's the comparison. Here's your benchmark fund, and move to this fund because it's going to be more efficient, period. And people are like, okay, yeah, that's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't I? It makes the same amount of money. Oh, it made more money. Okay, great. And we're going to, take a scalpel of that portfolio and say, keep this, get rid of this, keep this, get rid of this. It's really simple. But I will tell you, how are we different from the Fishers, the Eddies, the Ray J's, the big banks and brokers out there? We do spread out our fee structure. We have some investments that we're going to offer you that will not have a fee. I truly believe that we got to have some of that. For example, we have another portfolio where Fisher Investments charges you 1 to 1.25. We only charge 0.5%. Talk about lowering a fee 0.5% to 0.75% just on that portfolio. Yes, we have some portfolios, depending on how active you want to be. If you want real active management, day trading type of management, we're going to charge 1. Maybe if you have the hedge fund type management, we're going to have 1.45, right? But when you mix it all up and you asset allocate into all these different types of funds, on average, you're paying under 1% in our office, which is good. That's what we want you to do. If you can pay 0.5% to 0.75 or under 1 as an average, and most of our clients are, that is where we do thrive. And saving 0.5% or 1% in fees is game changer. Plus, consistency in your income plan and your structure that's built out.
Well, this is the time of year, at a brand new year where we kind of look at ourselves and we say, okay, how can I be better? Everybody's trying to make, changes in their diet. They're taking changes in they want to lose weight, all these different things that you want to do. Any self-help book that you read is going to say, set a goal. And it's going to say, write down your goals. And it's going to say, put a picture on the refrigerator. Give yourself some inspiration. Why wouldn't you do the same thing with your finances? Why wouldn't you say, here's my goal for the end of the year, and let's see how we do according to that goal? This article is just kind of a cop-out for advisors, I think, to say, don't look at me. It's the market that does it.
Yeah.
Anybody
can write anything, Randy. And that's the type of advisor that, with the writing this for themselves. It helps. It's that world we live in. It's a financial services industry. Anybody can say anything they want. They can do almost whatever they want to a certain level or degree. And they're Wall Street. They're just trying to keep your money in the market. They're just trying to keep you all in the market. They're trying to tell you, no, you can't go buy that car. No, you can't go on that extra cruise. But you come into my office, and maybe a few other advisors across the country are speaking just like me. I know them. And we're like, no, let's spend 30 to 40 grand more. Go buy that car. Go on that cruise to Ireland and Spain and spend those dollars while you are still healthy and wealthy, right? Your health will only last so long. Why aren't we spending some of these dollars? Did you really work the last 30, 40 years to give it to your grandbabies? I know you want to give it to them, but give it to yourself first, and then they get what's later, right? And there will be money later. That's the great part about it.
Well, as we've kind of gone through the show today, there's so many topics that we have hit. I invite you to go back and revisit this show. We've talked about this is the season when people are thinking about taxes. So many people have their investments lined up, but they're not even thinking about what taxes are going to do to them once they get into their 70s in RMD age and with that 401k. We've talked about building income for the things you want and certainly for the things that you need. We've talked about appointments where people have come in not thinking that they could possibly retire, but Cherise showed them that they can. There's so much that
Yes.
you can get out of a meeting when we sit down and do that portfolio x-ray. I really think it's worth it.
This last hour has been a retirement radio show on steroids. We really hit all the points. And if you missed any of it, go back. We're on fire today, you guys. And we're just talking real retirement talk. You know, it's not a smoke and mirrors kind of show. Go back to our podcast on your iPhones. You got the podcast purple link there. You can go to Spotify, iTunes, you name it. I promise you're going to enjoy it.
Well, we would love to have the opportunity to help you with your retirement. Look on our website, listen to some other shows, listen to some segments, and give Charisse a call. Get a date on a calendar, and let's talk through your retirement. You might be really happy and surprised what comes out of that meeting. You can find us online, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. The gold box there, it says complimentary retirement consultation. Click on that. Or just call us, 833-368-3680. Again, 833-368-3680. Charisse, that is all the time we have for today. I'll give you the last word.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate your feedback. If you have any questions you want us to talk on radio about, just email them to us. Go to our website, zinniawealth.com, and we will certainly answer them on radio. We love to do that. And as usual, live by design and not by default. And we'll see you here next week.
This has been Retirement Coffee Talk. To find out more about how the strategies we've discussed on this program can build the retirement you've been wanting, call Zinnia Wealth at 352-368-3680 or visit us online at zinniawealth.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, a registered investment advisor. The firm only conducts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded from registration requirements. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. Insurance products are offered through Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC, Florida license L078655, and Charisse Rivers, Florida license P037744. Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, and Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC are affiliated entities. The information presented is believed to be current. It should not be viewed as personalized investment advice. All expressions of opinion reflect the judgment of the presenter on the date of the podcast and are subject to change. The information presented is not an offer to buy or sell or a solicitation of any offer to buy or sell any of the securities discussed. You should consult with a professional advisor before implementing any of the strategies discussed. Any legal or tax information provided in this podcast is general in nature. Always consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation. Any client experience discussed on this show are unique to that client. Annuity and life insurance guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. If you withdraw money from or surrender your contract within a certain time after investing, the insurance company may assess a surrender charge. Withdrawals may be subject to tax penalties and income taxes. Persons selling annuities or other insurance products receive compensation for these transactions. These commissions are separate and distinct from fees charged for advisory services. Insurance products also contain additional fees and expenses. Social Security rules and regulations are subject to change at any time. Always consult with your local Social Security office before acting upon any information provided herein. References to specific investments should not be construed as being past specific recommendations. The returns for various indices discussed in this podcast do not represent the performance of the firm or any of its advisory clients. Returns do not reflect the impact that advisory fees will have on an investment. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. All investment strategies have potential for profit or loss. Different types of investments involve higher and lower levels of risk. There is no guarantee that a specific investment strategy will be suitable or profitable for an investor's portfolio. Historical performance returns for investment indexes and or categories usually do not deduct transaction and or custodial charges or advisory fees, which would decrease historical performance results. There are no guarantees that a portfolio will match or outperform a specific benchmark. Investments in fixed income products are subject to liquidity risk, market risk, index rate risk, credit risk, inflation risk, purchasing power risk, and taxation risk. Because bond prices fluctuate continually, their yields change constantly.